Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a crime film from Denmark, Danish language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Mikael Norgard, and this film is called The Absent One. So The Absent One is the second installment out of a trilogy called The Department Q. Now Department Q consists of two detectives, Carl Mork and Assad, who specialise in cold cases. So in The Absent One, the cold case belongs to a double murder and a rape, where the guy who was found guilty of this crime only went to jail for 3 years. So the detectives in charge want to actually open the investigation again because they believe that's way too suspicious. So when they learn about the case, they realise that there is a woman that's connected to it that has gone missing for 20 years. And now they have actually found out that she's still alive. Now they have to get to her first because the people who were also involved in this crime back then also want to get to her so that they don't, basically she can't incriminate them. So all of a sudden the race is against time in order to get to her, and whether or not the detectives can and ultimately put those guilty to justice is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Absent One. I was very intrigued to see this film. Now The Department Q is not really a series of novels that I'm familiar with. As far as Scandinavian crime noir is concerned, I think it's some of the best in the world. You've got authors such as Jo Nesbø, Stieg Larsson, Jorn Lier Horst, who are fantastic at actually giving you a murder mystery, but at the same time very complex main characters. And so you've got Jo Nesbø's The Snowman, which was recently made into a film by Thomas Alfredson. Now I think that the problem The Snowman had is that it was a little bit too theatrical, that it was selected at a very specific sort of cinematic audience. And I don't think these sorts of movies are really cinematic experiences. These are definitely made for TV, really downbeat and very realistic portrayals of very, very broken people. And so I think that Thomas Alfredson with The Snowman, although I really enjoyed that film, I think it was wrong to try and target it at a popcorn audience. It's definitely one where you see it on late at night on TV as a murder mystery sort of whodunit approach, but at the same time, if you're trying to throw theatrics in it, you're defeating the purpose of the books. And so the books just strike you with very realistic characters, very realistic situations, and I think The Absent One really nailed what it is to be Scandinavian crime noir. Now the first film, The Keeper of Lost Causes, I didn't really get into that as much. I thought the story wasn't as captivating and it was a little bit monotonous, but the characters of Carl Mork and Assad were very, very interesting. So Carl Mork is played by Nicolaj Lee Kaus and Assad is played by Fares Fares. Now in The Absent One, I thought their characters were even more complex. I got into the family dynamics of Carl Mork. This is a guy who, like Harry Hole in The Snowman, is an alcoholic. He has a very troubled past, and so not only are you absorbing yourself into what's going on in the crime mystery, but you're also absorbing yourself in this main guy. This is not a bulletproof cinematic character. This is a character that is just an everyday person, that he happens to be a brilliant detective, but at the same time he has these troubles that everyday people have, and so that's what's grounding it in realism. The movie never really strives to be a theatrical film, and so if you're after explosions and gunfights and all that kind of thing, then maybe this is not for you. But if you like your really complex murder mysteries, then I definitely think that The Absent One is going to apply to you. I thought this is a devastating film. It was very hauntingly beautiful. The cinematography. What I like about Scandinavian cinema is that they can use the visuals to emulate the characters' mentalities. This is what Thomas Alfredson did in The Snowman, and this is what Mikael Norgard does in The Absent One, is that it's a very dark and downbeat and depressing atmosphere. You've got a very harsh, cold winter in Denmark at the time, and I just thought it really matched what these characters are going through. It's a very uneasy, dirty sort of experience you have, and so not only is the story very haunting, but it's just visually very captivating, and it just gets you in the haunting sort of environment that each and every one of these people is in. So as I said, it's a devastatingly beautiful film. It's very depressing, especially the woman in this film. The way that this woman unfolds as a character, I thought, that poor thing, and you really want justice to be served, and that's what makes a murder mystery even better, is that if you actually care about the characters, then all of a sudden you've got a whole level of intrigue on top of what you already have. And so there is told in flashbacks, which I really liked. A lot of Scandinavian novels, they do this. They give you enough complexity to the flashback to actually evolve the current situation without getting bogged down. And that's exactly what this film does, and that's what The Snowman did to some extent. But I thought The Snowman, in this movie, the flashbacks were a lot more obvious, and so you can really gain control of what this film has. So I thought this movie was a lot better thought out than The Snowman was, and so it is a little bit more accessible to the average audience. So Nicolaj Lee Kaus and Fares Fares do a fantastic job, as I said, with the chemistry, and you've also got these other characters that come into the fold that just make a very, very intriguing murder mystery, and it's complemented by the production of the film. So I thought that was very good. The continuity is very good. I thought the runtime for over 2 hours never really gets boring because the story does keep you glued to the screen. Yeah, it is very violent, so be very careful of that. It's not gratuitous violence, but it's enough to really hit home what it's all about. And I thought the ending was an absolute gut punch of a finish. I just thought it was a great way to end the movie, but it's not necessarily going to make you feel good about yourself. So if there are problems to this movie, I will say that, as I said, for an average audience, it's not going to have enough theatrics to really keep you going. So if you're not a massive fan of Scandinavian crime noir, then maybe Absent One is not for you. And I also had the problem of eliminating some sense of the mystery in this film. You kind of know who the bad guy is straight away, and it doesn't really make an attempt to hide that. And so if you want a whodunit kind of thing, which is the novels, a lot of these crime novels that have a whodunit approach, and it does take you in twists and turns, but this movie doesn't really have twists and turns. This is a movie about knowing who the bad guy is, but going through the story as to how this bad guy came about doing what he was doing. And so I thought it would have been a little bit better if you didn't know him, because it would have it would have kept that entertaining quality up a little bit more. But apart from that, you know, there aren't many problems to this film. I thought it was a very, very good Scandinavian crime movie. If you are a fan of this stuff, or if you just like crime movies in general, where it's like police procedural, but at the same time got fascinating characters that you can really root for, then The Absent One is definitely one to check out. And as a result of that, I'm going to give this film 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.